My books, The Origin of Names, Words, and Everything in Between, volumes 1 and 2, are available to purchase from most major booksellers in all major formats. Order your copies today so you can enjoy these books for yourself and help support the channel.
Most languages exist in two forms, a spoken form and a written form. The spoken form of a language is the one that we hear, like from someone's mouth or on a radio. The written form of a language is the one that we see, like on the pages of a book or on a computer screen. The written form of a language is usually presented with a series of symbols, characters, letters, which represent certain sounds or entire ideas. There's a huge amount of variation in the realm of written languages, like the characters and letters used for each language. However, something that can vary greatly with written languages is the direction that is written and read in. In linguistics, this is called directionality. Understanding a language's directionality is key to be able to become fluent in that language, or at least be able to read and write in that language. Trust me, there are many cases out there of people being able to speak a language, but not being able to read or write it. There's quite a lot to get your head around when it comes to understanding a language's direction. The first thing you need to find out is if single words are presented horizontally or vertically, and then if they are horizontal, are they written left to right or right to left? Or if they are vertical, do they go from top to bottom or bottom to top? So once you've figured out the direction of a single word, you need to then figure out what direction you have to read the next word in. Most of the time, this follows the same direction as the single word. So if a word is horizontal and is read from left to right, you can pretty much guarantee that the word you are meant to read next is the one to the right of that word. Congratulations, you can now read an entire line of writing. But what happens when the line comes to an end? A page of a book is only so long and a line of writing can't go on forever. Now we have to figure out what direction you should go in for the next line. If singular lines of writing are horizontal, do you have to go downwards from top to bottom or upwards from bottom to top? Or if the individual lines are vertical, is the next line to the left or to the right? But once you've figured that out, then well done. You can read an entire page. Though I reckon you could do that anyway. The other thing is there really isn't a part of language that tells you its directionality. It's not like specific words we use hint to the fact you have to go from left to right or top to bottom. We just have to figure it out. And most of the time we aren't really even taught about it, at least in our native languages anyway. I have no recollection of being in school and being taught the direction of English. It's just one of those things that becomes ingrained into us from such an early age. I love things like this in language, stuff that's actually pretty complex but we do it without really thinking. Well, that is until we look into the directionality of other languages anyway. I did some number crunching, and if we factor in just the 4 traditional directions of language, left, right, top, and bottom, there are 8 potential variants of language directionality. I say traditional directions because it would be very possible for languages to go in other directions too, but it seems like they really don't in most cases. I'm sure there are Konglangs out there which are written diagonally, or even anti-clockwise spirals. Whatever the case, the 8 main variations of language directionality are left to right then top to bottom, right to left then top to bottom, left to right then bottom to top, right to left then bottom to top to bottom then left to right, top to bottom then right to left, bottom to top then left to right, and bottom to top then right to left. And of these 8 variations, it seems that only 6 of them are actually used in real-world written languages. There seemingly aren't any languages that go left to right then bottom to top, or right to left then bottom to top. Though let me know if there's one I missed out on or something. There's a chance that this is all making your head spin a little bit, and that's understandable. It's much easier to figure out if we look at some example languages. But when I say languages, we're actually going to be looking into scripts. Scripts are what we use to represent written languages, and not every language has its own unique script. Countless languages use the same script but have some slight variations like accent marks, though of course some languages do have their own unique scripts entirely. The reason it's better to look into scripts in regards to directionality is because scripts always tend to go in the same direction regardless of language. From what I can gather, there is no case of 2 languages that use the same script but go in completely different directions. Take the Latin script an example. This is undoubtedly the most popular script on the planet. It's used for languages like English, French, Spanish, Polish, and most other European languages. Even non-European languages that didn't originally have written forms have been given them via the Latin script, such as Maori or Hawaiian. Latin is a key example of a left to right then top to bottom script. This means that when reading or writing a left to right then top to bottom script, you start in the top left corner, then follow the word to the right. Then when you reach the end of the line, you go to the next line down and start again with the leftmost word, work your way to the right, and repeat until you finish reading the page or writing that text. Left to right then top to bottom is the most common direction of written languages, and it is used in way more than just the Latin script. The Cyrillic script used by multiple Slavic languages also follows this direction too, as does the Devanagari script used in various South Asian languages like Hindi and Sanskrit. There's even scripts for singular languages which go in this direction too, like SINHALA from Sri Lanka, the modern Greek script, and even the Cherokee script. These all go from left to right then top to bottom, meaning if you want to learn any of these languages and only know a language like English or French, you at least have a tiny bit of a head start. Scripts that go from right to left then top to bottom are pretty similar, except when reading or writing them, you start in the top right corner and follow the words to the left until you reach the end of the line. Then you go down a line starting again on the right hand side and working leftwards. It's kind of like a mirrored version of left to right then top to bottom. The two most noticeable left to right then top to bottom scripts are the Arabic script, which is used for a huge variety of languages as well as the language of Arabic itself, and the Hebrew script, which is used for the Hebrew language as well as other Jewish languages like Yiddish. A lot of the languages which use this directionality are located in the same region of the world and are some of the oldest languages. What is interesting is that CUNEIFORM, one of the oldest known scripts using languages like Sumerian and Akkadian, actually went from left to right top to bottom, though we also have evidence of it going from top to bottom too. And speaking of scripts that go from top to bottom, as we've already mentioned, there doesn't really seem to be any scripts that go from left to right then bottom to top or right to left and bottom or top. It means we can start looking into scripts that start with vertical lines instead of horizontal ones. Let's first highlight a script that goes from top to bottom then left to right. This means you start in the left hand corner, then right downwards, and when that line is completed you start a new vertical line to the right of that one. There doesn't seem to be that many scripts out there that use this direction. In fact, I could only find one noticeable example of it, that being the Mongolian script used in the Mongolian language. It's surprising that this direction isn't more common. To myself, it makes more sense to go from top to bottom than left to right than top to bottom than right to left. But maybe that's just my English language brain kicking in, where things start on the left and go rightwards. I say this because in the world of scripts that start on verticals, there are way more that actually go from top to bottom than right to left. This means you start in the top right corner, then follow words from the top to the bottom, then start the line to the left and repeat the process. This is the direction used in many East Asian scripts. Scripts like the ones used for Chinese, Korean, Japanese all use this direction, traditionally anyway, more on variation later. What's also interesting is that many of these languages all have their own scripts, but some of them are believed to be related to one another, like how Japanese was influenced by the Chinese language in its script. The connection between languages like Chinese, Japanese and Korean is something I want to make a video about in the future, so someone remind me to make it in a couple months time or something. What I was most curious about, however, was if there are any scripts that go from bottom to top, then either left to right or right to left. These directions seem so alien and unnatural, but there is apparently a script that does just this, and not only does it go from bottom to top, it can actually go from either left to right or right to left. This being the HANUNOO script used in the HANUNOO language. This language/script comes from the Philippines with around 13,000 speakers according to Wikipedia anyway. While this script can in modern times be written left to right then top to bottom, traditionally it goes from bottom to top then away from the body. This means if you are left-handed, you start from the bottom right corner, then go bottom to top, then right to left. And if you are right-handed, you start in the bottom left corner and it goes from bottom to top, then left to right. This is so completely different to so many other written languages, and I love that it exists, mainly because it ticks two of our directional variation boxes. It's just a shame we can't find any examples of ones that go from left to right, bottom to top, or right to left and bottom to top to complete the set. But you know what? Maybe we can just write some of these scripts in that direction anyway. That's because while these are the directions these scripts traditionally go in, we don't need to actually adhere to them all the time. There are countless examples of scripts disobeying their traditional directions, like imagine the sign on the side of a cinema written vertically in English. We see this all the time in advertising. Many East Asian scripts have become way more flexible too. While something like Japanese is traditionally written top to bottom, right to left, it is also fairly often written left to right, top to bottom, like the Latin script. I've even read that in sources like newspapers and magazines, both directions are used at the same time for spacing reasons. And then you have things like Microsoft Word art from the 2000s that put words in all different directions and didn't even think about it. What's also worth noting is that languages can change their direction if their script is changed. Going back to Japanese, there's a thing called romanization, where we adapt Japanese words into the Latin script. When we do this, we tend to obey the traditional direction of the Latin script, going left to right then top to bottom. We don't continue using the usual Japanese script direction. That could look a little strange. Conversely, sometimes in history, languages change scripts and directions. Old English was once written in runes that went right to left. It was only when it was adapted into the Latin script it went from left to right as we know it today. The final thing we have to look into all of this is why? Why do different scripts go in different directions, and why don't they all just go the same way? Well, the real answer is we don't know. Yeah, that's kind of why I saved this for last. There is a leading theory on the matter, however. It's believed the direction of a language was dictated by the material and tools it was being written with. Take the East Asian scripts that go from top to bottom. It's believed that this could have happened because these languages were primarily written on long scrolls, making it easier to go from top to bottom while one hand holds that scroll. With right to left and top to bottom scripts like Arabic and Hebrew, it's thought they were first written on heavy stone tablets, so it would be easier to hold it in your left hand while writing with your right. Going from right to left would help support that heavy thing. Then with left to right scripts like Latin, it is thought that they are written on paper with ink. It was easier to go left to right to stop the fresh ink from smudging all over the place. These are all just theories, however, and there are issues with them, but they're interesting enough. They also lean heavily into the fact that the majority of the world is right-handed, as many of them benefit right-handed people way more than left-handed ones. Even to this day, there are many left-handed people who struggle going left to right, then top to bottom without smudging ink everywhere. Whatever the case, the direction of languages is a weird, confusing, mysterious thing. Yet the majority of us comprehend it easily and get on with it pretty much every day in our normal lives. And I just think that's pretty cool, really. Name Explained depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explained videos, and your name at the end of the video with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/NameExplain or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and once again, thank you all so much.